folks, XFL Jim here. Spring League in the fall. How cool is that, huh? Anyway, week 1 in the books. Let's talk about it. For those of you that may not know, the Spring League is this league that's been around for a little while now. It's for players to get exposure. It's a good thing for them. It's scouting for the NFL, CFL, X League, XFL, the whole shebang. It's scouting for us. I use it for my garage league every once in a while. It's bigger this year just because they're putting some of the games on television. Week 1, they only had one game, which was a little disappointing. Week 2, it looks like they're putting all the games on FS1, which I will be watching. It's must-watch TV, folks, let me tell you. First things first, let's go through all the teams. Here are the teams. You got Alphas, Blues, Jousters, Hues, otherwise known as the Aviators, but not really, the Conquerors, and the Generals. Those are the only teams you need to worry about this fall. I know I do college, I know I do NFL, but spring football is my first love. Here's how week 1 went down. Alphas, dominated by the Blues. Jousters, zipped 28-0 by the Hues, which I'm going to let you all know, Hues is my team. The reason being, even though they're called the Aviators, they're the Hues. Their logo is fantastic. They're pilots, which means they fly planes, which they keep in hangars, which are garages for planes. I don't know why I have to spell this out for you. And the Conquerors versus Generals, which is the one that was on Fox Sports 1, FS1. Generals won 33-19. So let's get into this, folks. There's some takeaways we have from week 1. Blowouts. The games that weren't on TV were both blowouts, and I don't like seeing that in a startup. It's a little concerning. I almost had this with the XFL, but there was a lot of parity there, and I was very happy that my beautiful league had parity. This league, domination from the get-go. Like, the Hues and the Blues just, like, destroying. I don't know what the issue is with the Alphas and the Jousters, but they, like, getting zilch, no points, either of them, in week 1. It's a little concerning. The lucky thing was that the Conquerors and Generals, the one that was on FS1, was the most competitive game. And honestly, the Generals' offense looked to be a step ahead. You never know. They didn't really have too much time to practice, so anything can shake up week to week. Some offenses and just systems might take a little bit more to implement than others. Speaking of the coaches and everything like that, there are some familiar faces. Jerry Glanville being one, June Jones, some other XFL familiars sprinkled in here throughout the Spring League. Hopefully, we'll see them back in 2022. Another main takeaway that I have, only one game on TV, little disappointing. This isn't some high school bullshit. This is professional football, folks. If I can get my garage league on local broadband access, like every week, I don't see why they can't get every Spring League game on TV. It looks like they're fixing it for week 2, so I'm happy about that, but something you guys should have thought of. Should have consulted with an expert. My other main takeaway, I already mentioned a little bit earlier. Hues is my team. That is my jam. Shea Patterson's the great quarterback. The guy's a killer. He's a striker. He played in the X League for a little bit. That's why I knew to take the Hues. I have a connection, folks. X League Jim, he's whispering in my ear. He's letting me know the little secrets that you guys might not be all privy to, but what goes on in my garage is my business. The standout players for week 1. Here we go. Shea Patterson, looking great, throwing touchdowns all over the gaff. Mr. Amos, famous Amos, doing great, looking good out there. He's looking fresh and clean. He's cleaning up. You got Brian Scott, another good quarterback performance. These guys are looking pretty studly. I wouldn't be surprised if you see some of these guys in the XFL. And my personal favorite of the week, Willie Yarbury, the fucking Pirate King himself. Guy was killing it on defense. No one could stop him. Let's give one for Yarbury. Yarbury. Similar to Shea Patterson, we have Toshiki Sato, who is Japan's greatest kicker, who's in the Spring League trying out. I would love to see him. Honestly, if he can't be in the XFL, I'd love to see him in the NFL. The dude is a great kicker, and he's a great personality. I know. I've talked about him plenty with X League Jim. He's a little busy, so he can't come on and talk about it, but I got all you guys. Don't worry. Now that that's week 1 out of the way, let's get into our week 2 matchups. Game number 1, we've got the Blues versus the Hues. I like this. The two dominant teams in week 1 facing off against each other. There's a lot of strong matchups here, but you know your boys got to go with the Hues. I love them. They're not going to lose. They're winning this whole thing. I'm telling you guys, Hues are going to win. Then you got the Alphas versus the Conquerors. Honestly, don't know what to think of the Alphas. Conquerors, I think their offense will ramp up given enough time. But I'm not going to go against Willie Arbery. Conquerors are winning that probably. The Pirate King will not rest until he has the souls of all of his enemies. Conquerors, I'm winning that one. And then you got the Generals versus the Jousters. Gotta go Generals here. They looked great on TV. They had a strong performance against the Conquerors. And the Jousters, just from what I could see, since it wasn't on TV, not a strong start. You never know. Anything could flip. It's a weird season. It's a weird league. But I gotta just go with my gut, which is telling me that the Generals win this one. As a recap, Hues win, Conquerors win, Generals win. That's XFL Jim's pick for the Spring League Week 2. That'll wrap up my Spring League report. I don't have a lot going on. I'm going to, hopefully, as more games are televised and more stuff is found out about these teams, I do a little bit more deep diving. I'll be able to give you more each and every week that we come out with these. But Spring League report, it's going to become a weekly thing. As long as this league is happening, I'll give you a report each week. Get ready for the games on Wednesday, folks. Oh, yeah. So with the Spring League news out of the way, there's a little tournament for a league going on right now that I lovingly call the X League. Why do I like this league so much? It should be easy to tell. XFL, X League, they share a commonality, folks. It's so simple, I don't know why I had to explain it. Let's explain what's going on here first. So there's a small, the X League does a fall tournament every year. This year, it's way smaller than normal because a lot of teams have opted out and a lot of teams aren't participating. But be that as it may, there's still some teams playing, which means there's football on. It means I'm watching it. So let's go through the results of round 1 of the tournament. The Elcom Kobe Finis, or Finies, or Fines, or whatever, they took on IBM Big Blue. This was the closest match of the week. Similar to the Spring League, there was only really one close match, and this was it. But Elcom came out ahead. It was tied going in at half, 7-7, and then Elcom just comes out, second half, just coming out swinging, killing IBM. No more computers. They're done. Computers are obsolete. I've been saying this for a while. Next game up, we have the Fujitsu Frontiers versus the Nojima Sagamihara. And let me tell you, Fujitsu Frontiers might be my favorite to win the whole thing. I like the Obik Seagulls a lot. They didn't play this week, so we'll have to wait and see how they look. But the Frontiers looking real mean. 48-3 over the Sagimaharas. And one purdy at all. Third game, it was Panasonic Impulse versus the Tokyo Gas Creators. Now, the Tokyo Gas Creators are a small love in my pancreas. Just because that name is fantastic. The Gas Creators, like, that sounds like a hero from a badass comic, if you ask me. But the Impulse just took it to them. 38-0. Wasn't even close. Just dusted. That was the theme with the leagues this weekend for me, this week. A lot of blowouts. Not something you really like to see, but sometimes it's something we got to deal with. Takeaways from the X League, round 1 of the tournament. The Impulse and the Frontiers might be my two favorites to make the whole thing, but I got a love in my heart for the Obik Seagulls. There's something deep down in me that I like that team. But Frontiers are probably my pick to win the whole thing. Man, those Tokyo Gas Creators, I had some hope for them, but man, they need to put some fuel in their tank, put the pedal to the metal, shift it into gear, and maybe they'll have a chance to compete. That's the only thing I can say to them. A similar issue I have with the X League that I have with the Spring League, a little hard to find footage. I found a way to watch full games for the X League at least, so at least I could do that. I can watch those games, be happy, and be settled in that regard. So I'm happy about that. And my last point is, for the X League, it's going to be an exciting tournament, folks. Even with the opt-outs, this is going to be a really exciting tournament. It's going to be a lot shorter than you normally think, but I still think it's going to be very exciting. There's not really enough teams in either of these leagues to do like a garage certified. So, let me just pick. The Spring League winner is going to be the Hues, obviously. And the X League Fall Tournament winner is going to be the Fujitsu Frontiers. I'm calling it right now. That's XFL Jim's picks for the Spring League and the X League.